Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen, your host. And by the way, if you would like to participate in this conversation, you can dial 661-298-5487. That's 661-298-5487. Sergeant Bob, we talked a little bit about a lot of stuff, but let's go right to Santa Clarita. What's the statistics right now? What's going on here in Santa Clarita?
Well, one of the things that my team does is we monitor the statistics on drug overdoses, and this so that we can get sort of a handle on what's happening. Generally speaking, I would say that an average year should bring 5 or 6 overdose deaths to our community because of the population that we serve.
Right.
We've got over 200,000 people. And people are going to die from drugs. That's the way it is. In 2012...
Say that again, just like you said it.
What?
People are going to die from drugs. That's just the way it is.
It's the way it is. And no matter what we want to do, it's what's going to happen. But in 2012, we had a tremendous spike. We went from the 5 or 6 that we normally have to 16.
Right.
And that was like all hands on deck. That was like a gigantic call.
But I do want to say something, as you said that. That's not just here in Santa Clarita. That's across the nation, too.
Well, in 2012, it was a big spike.
Exactly right. So I don't want people to think it's just Santa Clarita.
No. We're just really outspoken and honest about it. We're letting everybody know what we're doing and what's going on.
We're not hiding our heads in the sand.
No, that's a losing philosophy. That's not going to work. So we've been aggressively, and I say we, the city of Santa Clarita, they hired me. And they put me on a team where several of the...
Rumor has it they'll hire anyone.
Several of the other members of the team, their salaries are sponsored by the city directly.
That's that's really pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is for a city to step up to the plate like that.
Yeah. In all of my research of trying to find other agencies, police agencies, that did what we did, I only found one. And that was Camarillo.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, they're close.
Yeah, it's the only other city I found that plucks the kids out of the juvenile justice system and puts them into a counseling program. Mm-hmm. And we sort of tailor or make the program that fits the kid. Most of the time, action at Canyon High School, but there are some times when the parents ask that we can utilize maybe a church or synagogue,
right?
And because they have a good relationship with the pastor or the minister there, rabbi, and we do that. It's not we have one program fits all. It's we allow some modification of it. We just want the young person to be submerged in good information, honest information. So that they can come to better conclusions. Mm-hmm. You know, the thing that people don't think about a lot of times, parents and others, is about the mechanics of a child's brain. And a baby will put his hand or her hand on a stove and burn their hand. But an adult won't do that. You would hope.
You would hope.
But so young people, their brains are growing, and they don't really finish growing until 24, 25 years old. So that's where all the drug stuff is screwing them up.
And I was talking to somebody this weekend. They actually wanted to do an intervention on a 15-year-old. I said, you don't do an intervention on a 15-year-old. They wanted to get the whole family. That'll work. He'll feel bad, but if you got a kid in that kind of trouble, an intervention is forcing him into some kind of treatment. You don't play around, especially when they're using hard drugs.
Yeah, at that age, 15?
Yeah.
Now, out of the youngest fellow that we've lost in all the stats that we've kept was a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And thank God that was not a common number. But the thing of it is that medically the brain doesn't stop growing until you're 24, 25. And what's happening to all the receptors and the nerves that are growing in the brain, they're trying to reach each other from the right side to the left side and make a circuit. Well, the introduction of drugs at young ages, marijuana, in particular,
In particular.
causes a disruption in the growth, and maybe a permanent disruption, where the wiring will never ever go together 100%.
And we see that in our adult rehabs. We really do, because they're coming in, they've been smoking pot forever, and they're all over the place. I mean, it's hard for them to figure things out, you know? So we see that all the time, besides the depression that comes along with it, and the psychosis and all the other stuff, the suicidal tendencies. So
And you know, to moms and dads and grandparents that are out there listening, the marijuana of the 60s and 70s was like 5-6% THC. Well, grab hold of yourself.
About 3% THC, yeah.
Because today the marijuana THC is 25 to 30%. Think about that.
Oh, wait a second. That's if they smoke it. What, the
Yeah.
oils
Now
that
let's
they're
go into
doing?
that in the next period.
The wax and the oils?
Yeah.
Up to 80-90%.
and
The edibles?
and the edibles.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
when we come back, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen. I'm your host. I got Sergeant Bob and Scott Quashen with me today, and we're kind of talking a little bit, giving some information really about Santa Clarita, the J team. We were just talking about the potency of marijuana. And it used to be 0.3 milligrams or 0.5. Now it's up to almost 30 milligrams. And then edibles and oils and all that. You want to go for that, Bob?
Yeah. The edibles are so dangerous because there's such an attraction for teenagers to do an edible. They don't have to smoke and get the nasty the nasty smoke on their lungs. They can just they believe they can just eat cleanly an edible and get high on marijuana the way they want, you know, to the level they want to. Well, that's not the way it works. Well, what happens when a person smokes marijuana? They have a cigarette in their mouth, say, and they're inhaling. When they'll feel the intoxication start pretty quick, and when they reach a point where that's all they really want in intoxication, they can pass that cigarette to the next person. But with an edible, a kid takes a bite of the edible and feels nothing.
Right.
And so it says, well, you know, may think, well, this is nothing. There's nothing happening here. I'm going to eat another bite. And by the time you get done to it, they've ate the whole brownie. Well, the brownie really should have been ate by maybe 6 or 8 people. And so all that brownie, marijuana, goes into their stomach and waits for nature to take its course. The stomach sucks all the THC out of the brownie and sends it all to brain. And on last Thursday, for the graduation parties that were held at Magic Mountain,
Right.
they had 5 kids transported via ambulance
I heard that.
from edible marijuana overdoses. And then they had more walk-ins that people brought.
Edible marijuana overdoses.
Yeah.
I was speaking to the Simi Valley PD last week, and they called me and they asked me if we're seeing the same thing. And of course I am, because I'm on the psych unit, but maybe you can answer this too. We're finding more and more people that actually have psychotic.
Yeah.
They're gone. They're really psychotic right now. And,
Yeah.
and the only thing they're testing for? THC.
Yeah. And most of the kids, when they do it, they lose the ability to function at all, and they go flat on the ground. And well, they can still breathe, and but they can't function at all. And they're transported via ambulance, fire department. Their stomachs are pumped. And
By the way, again, this is from overdose of edible marijuana.
most dangerous thing right now for teenagers.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and you can go to these pot shops, which some people call marijuana dispensaries, and you can actually buy edible marijuana.
Right.
And we have teenage kids in high school, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, that buy their quantity, bring it back, and they feel they want to be Johnny Appleseed,
Right.
and they're going to share it with all their friends.
Hey, I got them at my Tuesday night group. They got caught eating brownies or passing out brownies. So it's just in the last, I'd say, 6 months, we've had many people that were ordered either by you or some court or someone for edibles.
Yeah.
It's
Dangerous because it's most attractive to teenagers.
Well,
Although I know adults that have had that same experience that you're talking about, where they've been smoking marijuana all their life, you know, started out 5-6%, and it goes higher. Now it's 25%. but so they thought they'd eat an edible.
Mm-hmm.
And one fellow was telling me, a 65-year-old guy was telling me, yeah, I smoked marijuana all my life. It's no big deal. I smoke maybe once a week or something like that, or even less. And then I had an edible, and I was down on the ground. I couldn't wait for that experience to leave. I was just panicked because I couldn't function.
But you got to listen to what we're saying. 5 kids in an ambulance.
In an ambulance, but there were
from Magic Mountain.
There were others transported by friends and family to the Henry Mayo.
On an overdose of what?
Yeah.
Edible what?
Yeah.
Marijuana.
Yeah.
Y'all listening to this? That's that drug that we want to make legal, that when parents call our Action Helpline and say, what was in his test? And we go, 800 milligrams of THC. They go, that's it?
Yeah.
And these kids are overdosing on it.
Yeah.
So you better really figure out get some information. Get real information.
And the talking heads and the movie stars and the wannabe good guys, they all say, well, there's nothing wrong with marijuana. It doesn't it doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't necessarily have to lead to anything. I've never ever interviewed a heroin addict or a meth addict that said that they started on that. That was the first drug they took.
So put it to you in another way. Check this out. Maybe not all people who smoke marijuana turn into heroin addicts, but almost every heroin addict that I've ever talked to started with marijuana.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lie. It's just a lie. And the quack doctors in Venice and in Los Angeles that for $50 will give you a prescription. I asked the kids. I said, well, what was wrong with you, the 18-year-olds? What made you think that you need marijuana? One girl told me she had menstrual pain. A guy told me that he couldn't concentrate, so he had to get marijuana. And they go to these doctors, these quack doctors down below, and they pay him $50. And I said, well, don't you have medical insurance? Well, yeah, I belong to Kaiser. Well, why didn't you tell your Kaiser doctor you needed medical marijuana?
They won't give it to him. Wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to go get some quack doctors. And you know what? They've been around forever. When we were kids, they were the prescription doctors. Now it's marijuana doctors. And it's just...
Well, these doctors are 95%. They're a failed practice. It's like an auto mechanic. You go to an auto mechanic and he can't fix your car and he charges you a lot of money. Then you move on to another auto mechanic.
Right.
And you leave behind these guys that are shade tree that can't do a job. They don't have return customers. Well, these marijuana doctors are the same thing. They're failed.
You know what really kind of turns my stomach? There's a lot of parents that I've been talking to lately that are actually bringing their little 18-year-olds and getting them marijuana cards. They just give up. Let's just go get your card.
Yeah, well, I was watching a heroin deal a couple months ago, and I watched that a mother, a clean-cut lady in a nice car, drove up with her son. He got out of the car, did the hand-to-hand with the suspect, got back in the car, and the mom drove him away. They can come to the sheriff's station. They can give me a call. It's confidential. There is no criminal element to it. My partner and I will get them into a drug treatment program.
We'll hear more about that when we come back from break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.